Hey, what's up guys, Bryce here, and we're back at it again for another video. And in this video we have another LMP2 race at Sebring, and this race was probably one of the worst races I've had in this whole week, and you'll see what happens here and pretty much the result of being impatient and kind of just really not putting in enough time in practice. We did qualify on third. Third on the grid was pretty decent. Here we have the start. We have the inside line, so it's going to give us a pretty good run going into turn one. We had a lot of drivers in this race, and the strength of the fields were pretty high. Sebring was one of these weeks where there was actually a lot of people, and you can see how many cars we have behind us. So we have a lot of things to look out for, a lot of things that we can take a look at and kind of dissect in this video. And you can see the car in front has a snap of oversteer, and we're just going to kind of try to slither our way down the inside, but it's still the first lap, so we don't want to lose too much time. So we have about 18 drivers. I can't see it fully on my side, but it looks like 13 or 18 drivers in LMP2, and then we have 17 in GT3. So we have a lot of drivers. The guy in first is just already pulled away, and we did get past that guy there. So we're in P2 right now. We're sitting really comfortably in P2, and the guy in first is 7.1k iRating. So it's definitely going to be a task to try to catch him. Not impossible, of course, but we're really just not up to pace with him at all. So it's going to be pretty much trying to stay where we are, and I would have been totally happy finishing in second place. Make sure, if you guys do enjoy these videos, to leave a like down below, and I'm gonna have a lot more content coming out soon as always. And just stick with me with race labs. You can see it's kind of shuffling around the grid. It kind of does that. It's not fully optimized for doing what I'm doing, which is watching the replay. Hopefully that gets fixed in the future, but it's definitely works best when you're kind of live. So finishing up the first lap, we're approaching lap 2, and I ended up making a mistake. I ended up making a mistake in turn 3. Going into turn 3, I made a mistake just going from left to right, just trying to get a little bit of temperature in the tires. And you can see we have a little bit of pressure, but really there's no reason to be pushing the limits this much. You can see a little bit wide there on the dirt, and that's going to already offset the momentum, and then we just take a little spin, a little trip in the grass, and really that just came down to getting too close to the outside grass there. And it's a rookie mistake. It happens quite often if you're not careful, and just an inch too much on the brakes and you're in the wall, and we lost 2 positions, so that's really not optimal. And yeah, there's really no need for me to be going that close to the grass, especially in a 45-minute race. So that was my fault. Now we kind of have to do some work to get past and kind of get past this guy in front, so we can at least get back into P4 at least. But we lost 3 spots there, which isn't ideal at all. So now we're going to try to get back and try to kind of get this comeback drive. Not really too much of a comeback. Fortunately, the grid was already spread out by this point, so I didn't have to battle too much. But, you know, just stuff like that you don't need to be doing. Don't need to be pushing the limit just that hard in the first couple of laps. And you can be pushing the limit that hard, but not if you had the amount of practice that I had, which wasn't that much. I didn't do too many laps at this track. And you can see we're faster than this car in front, so we're going to be able to get by pretty effortlessly on the straight, especially since I was running a little bit lower downforce. I think this is where I passed him, but it did look like he possibly let me by to get slipstream for fuel saving. I can't be 100% sure, but we take this opportunity to dive down the inside. That's going to move us up into P4, but we still lost 2 more positions from that spin. So again, that wasn't completely ideal, and just practice is really key. Now we fast forward about let's see, half hour, a little bit more into the race. Just passing a bunch of GT3 cars, nothing eventful happened. We're getting more pressure from behind, from the car behind in that cyan looking car. We weren't really able to catch up to the guys in front, just because in this split, and usually at this level, everyone is really the same playing field. Everyone is about the same speed, so it really comes down to luck and being consistent. And the guy behind was just a little bit faster than me, and again, just comes down to practice. I put in a decent amount of time into this track, but just not enough. Not as much of these guys have been putting into driving, which is up to 20 hours a week, even 40 hours a week, and I definitely didn't put it anywhere near that. So I'm kind of just learning as we go along, and you can't expect to do well. You really can't expect to do well here. And you can see we have some GT3 cars. We're going to dive down the inside, a little bit of oversteer and exit. We get hit from behind, And that wasn't, it was kind of a risky move I had to take. The overtake was clean, just couldn't get on power. And I definitely know he was a little bit upset about that because these are the leaders right here of GT3, and he definitely lost like 3 seconds or 2 seconds here, but that's kind of the way it is when you're racing with LMP2 cars on track, and you can see this guy's all over me. He really wants to get past, and I can kind of tell when someone wants to get past and when someone wants to fuel save. It's really important that you know when to defend and when not to defend. I knew that I was going to be pitting very shortly, so I kind of knew that there was really no point of defending too hard here. And I think this is when he kind of is going to pass me. This race is a while ago, so I don't fully remember. Nope, it's not going to be here, but he did get a really good opportunity the lap after this one, and that's when I went into the pits. So you'll see here, this is the next lap after, same spot on this back straight, coming through the last sequence of corners before we come to the pretty much a parabolica around this track. But you'll see here, we're on the straight. I'm actually going to let him pass. I go off the gas just a slight bit. You can see my telemetry down there. It's not as accurate as the other telemetry, but we lift off about halfway. Let him get past. We're going to go deep into this corner so we can get a nice entry going into the pits. We're going to go for the undercut. We gave up that track position because we would have gone slower if we went side by side. We're going to dive into the pits here, and then we're going to fast forward this through my pit stop. 45-minute race, 1 pit stop. Pit stop, you can gain and lose a lot of time. We come out of the pits here, and this lap here is where another incident happened where you'll see exactly what happens. We have a few LMP back markers, so back markers and LMPs are a little bit harder to get through, especially when they don't really let you by, because some drivers, they kind of just want you to pass them like a normal car, but sometimes you'll get a few who let you by. So here we're just going to move to the outside, and then we're going to get by this guy. So he lets us through, which is nice. We can take that apex. Really important to be aware so that, you know, you don't turn in on him. But at the end of the lap here, I just got a little bit impatient. I really wanted to undercut that guy because I pit early. I kind of pit at a strategic time so there wouldn't be too many GT3s, even though we did get, unfortunately, caught up with these GT3s that passed us during the pit stop. A few of them went into the pits, but a few of them didn't. And you'll see here at the end of the lap, that is an incident that's clearly my fault. No real question about it. And it kind of sucks when you crash with GT3 cars. I'd rather make a mistake with a car in my class than a car not in my class, because I know there's kind of a thing going around that LMP2 drivers are really aggressive. I try not to be aggressive in terms of being LMP2 driver, but it is difficult sometimes to get by, especially when you really are in a faster car. And you'll see what happens. Look how far that Porsche is in front, and look how much time we are gaining on him. By the end of the corner, we're right here. I was flashing him because I wanted to go around the inside, and then we have a bunch of netcode, and then we just had a really strange crash. And you'll see this from a different angle here. I wanted to go down the inside. It clearly was not possible from that far back unless he really gave me room. So then instead, I tried to go around the outside. And either way, the netcode did pull his car into mine, which is the weirdest thing I've ever seen. But either way, we would have made some sort of contact, and really was not smart on my part to try to go around the outside. Kind of ruined his race and mine as well. So that's obviously my fault, and I did apologize for that. But we have a race on our hands, and we have to kind of get back as soon as we can in our groove. Kind of forget about that, which is what we did. We have a few more GT3 cars in front, so we're going to try our best to get past, but our pit stop strategy is kind of screwed. We lost at least 5 seconds, maybe 10 seconds there, so that really wasn't ideal. Yeah, so that last lap was a 2:25, and before that was a 1:48, so that lap was not a good lap at all, and we definitely 100% lost that kind of pit stop gap that we were going for. We were trying to undercut the car that we were battling before. And this is the last lap of the race. We got passed by about 3 cars on track just because of the damage that I had. I went into the wall twice, actually. So the damage was 100% affecting my downforce. My straight line speed was pretty terrible. You can see how jacked up the back is, but this is the last lap of the race. So again, just not being patient in moments like this. And this was, it wasn't the worst race in the world, but it was definitely a race to forget, and a race that was kind of rushed. And my iRating dropped this whole week from a 3.6 to a 3.4. It's back up to a 3.5 right now that I'm recording this. But I guess it's really important that you just practice before you jump into a race, especially on a track like this where I have not driven ever until last week. Other tracks I can do a little bit better at just because of my experience, but at this level your iRating can drop significantly and you'll gain it a lot slower. Compared if you're kind of in the 1K or the 2K areas, you can really gain your iRating up to 3K really fast if you do good results. So it's really important that you just practice and being consistent in the races and just consistently finishing, you know, in that top 10 and 6, 7, 8 and maybe on the podium is going to be really important to getting your iRating up to that 4K and 5K level, which is what I'm going for. And sometimes you get lucky and finish on that podium. And you also create your own luck by practicing as much as you can, nailing those pit stops. And if I didn't make that mistake with that back marker, I definitely would have been able to finish in front of that guy in 3rd or 4th, which it would have given me a little bit more iRating and just, you know, the confidence is there to go into that next race. So this was the last lap of the race, and this is going to be my last Sebring video as well. And we have a few Silverstone videos. I'm going to do doing a full race at Silverstone, and then we have Road Atlanta in the GT3s for NARL. It's coming around pretty quickly, but that is going to be it for this video. This race in general is really crazy. I saw a lot of crashes when I was going through the replay. This race will definitely be in my end of the year crash reaction video. I'm trying to save as many of them as I can, but this just goes to show you that I do make mistakes, and everyone makes mistakes really, even at, you know, the 3K level, and you really do need to put in time, and time is really key. If you want to finish in the top 10 or top 5, talent with time can really get you far. But that is going to be it for me. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. I don't know if any of you have done races at Sebring, but you know as much as I do that on the weekends, it was pretty crazy and pretty hectic. And yeah, that's going to be it. So I'll see you in the next video, guys. Bye-bye.